Hey everybody, what is up? This is Noah, aka President Foxman, with another unscripted commentary. And today we have a couple shorter questions. It's been a little while, so sorry about that. But my hope is that we can kind of go through these and have a good little bit of reflection as we do that. So first up in the questions that I have on my docket. What do you wish Gen X, like me, and older generations knew about what it's like to grow up in your time? From Zep. Yeah. I think this is one common thing that a lot of every generation feels, especially when they're young, is that they don't feel understood. They feel kind of put into a box. I know the millennials are kind of famous for this, being kind of the first generation on the internet, and that technological transition was a big thing, and there's also just changing standards, changing ways of seeing the world, and it happened very quickly, and not a lot of people were able to pick up on how much was going on. Trying to give an example in my mind, for one, I don't care too much about economics normally, but like millennials talk a lot about the experience of, compared to at least one generation before, the prospect of buying a house seems completely foreign, and that's both substantially, like they are not able to make enough money to pay for a house reasonably. They don't feel comfortable, in a situation in which they can start a family. You also have a whole bunch of other stuff. Environmentalism was a huge kind of, meme in the the sociological sense. It was a big meme in the culture, right? That kind of took over the way people saw the world, and you can see that growing and shrinking with Gen Z. So that's the first thing, is that like you'll see this major shift. And so what's different about Gen Z? In my experience, there are huge differences between areas of Gen Z. So, for people who are online, from a very early age, you have people who, they've always been online. Like, they don't really have a memory of not having access to technology or the internet, which is just not true of Gen X or any older generation, right? Like, imagine having all the accessibility of the modern world from being a child. It's going to change the way you look at the world, the way that you see the world, and the way you act. And it's going to be hard to communicate that way. You don't have a common foundation between them. Another thing that Gen Z goes through is that we don't really have a foundational structure. For the most part, religious structures are generally not as strong as Gen Z is coming into adulthood, and so either they're gonna have to find somewhere that's good, or build it themselves. So that's a few things. That's kind of what it feels like. But specifically, what do I wish? That we're different, maybe, would be the major thing, right? That things that might seem obvious are not obvious to us, and things that we find to be obvious probably aren't obvious to you. And it's all about communication and wisdom, and trying to articulate everything in a way that real communication can happen, and wherever that goes. So that's my recommendation, is patience. And it's a lot easier to be patient with somebody who's being patient than it is to be patient with someone who's not. And it's hard to be the first one who does it, but being the first one who does it is also extremely important. We're shifting wildly with the questions here today. Would you ever vote for an artificial intelligence for president or for any political office? From Casey. No, I would not. I know. Oh man, people are gonna get mad at me if I don't say the right one. I want to say it was Estonia, Albania. One of these countries elected a local regional politician who was an AI, which I don't. It for all intents and purposes, I don't know anything about this thing, but it's ChatGPT with some flavor on it, right? Like that's all these these chatbots are. Hopefully that that didn't sound really loud when I hit the mic. And so I know enough about how these LLMs work. I think LLMs are useful, but they're mostly toys for people, and they function almost like mirrors, where you kind of get what you want out of it. Like that's the whole algorithm, is that you feed the stuff that you want to see more of, and you just keep doing that over and over again. But the problem is there's not enough wisdom in the process. And I know that's gonna sound weird to some people, but there's no like method to discovering what is true built in to that, to what is good, right? It's all implicit. It's the stuff I like and the stuff I don't like. So it becomes very base, and it's all about optimizing. And optimization is, for my intents and purposes, is anti-wisdom for the most part. In many ways, optimizing can be very good, but in optimizing, you often break down structures of meaning and of wisdom in the process, because you just don't know what you're doing. And so it's better to just stick with an old structure and build on it than to try to construct something from scratch and see what bubbles up. Yeah, so I wouldn't want ChatGPT to run any political office. I think because I'm gonna sound very democratic for saying this, because Chesterton says something along the lines of the point of a democracy is so that those who are being ruled are represented in the process. You wouldn't entrust somebody else. Ideally, you wouldn't entrust someone else to blow your nose if you could do it yourself, right? I'd want to blow my own nose, or I'd want to wipe my own butt. Even if there is a medical professional who's willing to do it for me, I'm good. I can do it. And so, as the AI is not representing something like itself in the structure, it's something very different. Organic life form versus non-organic life form. So I would not vote for artificial intelligence for president or any political office. I'm sorry to disappoint everybody. And we'll see. Ludditism might come back. We'll see where all this goes. Last but not least, question from Matt C. What corner of America would you like to see a TLC conference happen? One that hasn't gotten one yet. Interesting. The question is, so for people who don't know, I am part of a loose internet community called This Little Corner, where I kind of hang out and talk with a lot of people who make videos and streams, and we talk a lot about different stuff. If you want to find out more, go to Paul Vanderklay's channel. I can link it below, and you can explore to your heart's content on what that all entails. But we do a conference every once in a while, and we've done ones in North Carolina, in Washington, in California, I believe. I've only attended the ones in Washington and Chicago. I think I said Chicago, but if I didn't, I think there was like a mini pseudo conference in Connecticut. But if I had to choose a place, I ideally I'd want it in Washington, but if we choose one that hasn't gotten one yet, I'd probably want to choose something like Wyoming, something with like really beautiful outdoor space that's pretty accessible from an airport. I feel like that would be pretty nice. Do pretty cost effective, I think, for everybody, and it wouldn't be too unreasonably far from me in the Pacific Northwest to get to, and I think my wife would like it. So that sounds pretty good. I think that covers all I was thinking of. My dog is pouting in the corner. I hope that got picked up. And yeah, I'll see you all later, and I hope you all have a good one. Bye.